Hello everyone and welcome to my newest review on the epic film that has just come out recently, and that is Iron Man 3. Now, Iron Man 3, I know a lot of people are looking forward to this, me included, because Iron Man is just overall epic. Because the first Iron Man film really kick-started all the good Marvel films, you know, it was the start of all your good ones, Captain America, for the Incredible Hulk, and now the Avengers, and now we've got Iron Man 3, or Robert Downey Jr.'s baby, as it should be known. And let's face it, the film has given us a lot, you know, stuff you can only get from an Iron Man film, such as Stan Lee cameo, epic suits of armour, and a possible title of Tony Stark's autobiography. And let's face it, if they release a fun thing like that, you're going to go out and buy it, it'll be a fun read, you know. So that is that. Now, onto the actual movies that I should probably be talking about in my movie review. I was slightly disappointed in it, sadly. Maybe it's because that after all this time my expectations were just hired by like the Avengers and the other two Iron Man, but I was not as pleased with this film as I could have been, and that's for one or two reasons. First of all, the quality of the film varied a fair bit throughout it. At some points it felt like it was being done by two different directors and writers. It was like one minute you had the classic Iron Man where you knew he was sassy, he was smart talking, he was blowing stuff up left, right and centre, and the next minute everything slowed down a bit, which I understand has to happen in a film like this obviously, but everything seemed to slow down and it just didn't seem to flow that much, and I don't know, it just didn't seem to carry the film that well. And that happened several times during the film for me, so I didn't really, you know, I still enjoyed it, but it's really broke me out of the film sense for it, and that is my biggest complaint about this film. Other than that, really, and I have to say that is probably that's what's disappointed me most in this film. Other than that, it is really just a good film. I'm going to touch on this as well now, in case no one's noticed. I don't know how you haven't noticed, but I am wearing my 3D glasses because I just saw it, and the 3D is, if you're going to see it in 3D, then you're not really going to get an extra experience from it by seeing it in 3D. Just, you know, if you're not bothered about that sort of stuff, then you'll be fine seeing it in 2D. It's not going to take away from the experience in the slightest, and you'll still enjoy the film just as much, in all fairness. It was probably a waste of the extra few quid, me paying for it in 3D, but I couldn't have talked about it otherwise, so that's why I did it. And it was still enjoyable. So yeah, I'm pleased to see all the old cast are still in this film as well. So, you know, Gwyneth Paltrow, Jon Favreau and Robert Downey Jr. are still in it, and obviously you got the new guys as well, in the form of Guy Pearce and Ben Kingsley. And I have to say, Guy Pearce was creepy. I found him really creepy in this film. He's in the trailer as well, you see him only for like a split second, but he looks really creepy and shifty in that, doesn't he? And that's pretty much like the first time you see him as well. Okay, after that, you've still got another like 2 hours of the film left after that, but no, he just gets creepier and creepier and creepier for me. So he really, you know, gave me the shivers. But yeah, so that's what we got. I'm trying to keep this thing as spoiler free as possible, but so I'm going to have to work around it somehow. One more thing I didn't like about the film, and there was this one scene about 15 minutes towards the end, and it just seemed to be skimmed over, like very slightly. It was quite literally, this thing's happening, they could have really drawn this out, made it really a good scene, and it was quite literally 5 seconds over, and it was like, what just happened on the screen? I don't know what just happened there, seriously, what's just happened? So it left me really confused, and it took me like a few seconds to regain the fact of where I was in the film, because I was busy thinking about what had just happened on screen. So, you know, I think that scene could have been done a lot better, and it's one of those things again where I think it felt like it was being done by two completely different directors helping to doing this film. So yeah, there is that. So on to the other thing. Tony Stark's character has evolved a lot. I like seeing that. I like seeing that they're not just keeping his character the same, they're still progressing with it and evolving it, which is something I love to see. At this point, he's plagued by what happened in the Avengers, which, you know, and that stuff does get brought up an awfully lot. It's like every half an hour pretty much in the film. It's just like, oh, why can't, you know, the Avengers help us? Yeah, because they're not around, that's why they're gone. You got Iron Man, deal with it. So that comes up a fair bit, and everyone's just like, you know, New York happened, there's aliens in the world, deal with it, but we'll brush it to one side. And he's really played by that. He can't sleep because he almost died in that wormhole. He keeps having nightmares about that, and he's basically developed an obsession with making more and more suits. And this is not a spoiler, but he's on the Mark 9 Iron Man suit now, isn't he? You think, try Mark 42. That's how much he's done so far. Okay, I'm not even sure what the time space is between them, between the Avengers and Iron Man 3 in movie terms, but yeah, so he's made a lot of suits in that time that, but hey, I'm going to touch on this as well, the Stan Lee cameo. Very brief, very brief, quite literally the 1 second cameo again. I was expecting him to have slightly a bigger one like he did in Avengers or Amazing Spider-Man, but very brief, but he was still there as always, so thank you Stan Lee for still being in this film, best part of the film for me. And as always, the things we all like to see in a Marvel film, and that was the end of credits scene. I wasn't sure if there was going to be one in this film because I was lured into false sense of security from Avengers when they did it after the little animated end credits where it just gave you all the people's names and then ended. But because they did that as well, I thought there was going to be something there, but there wasn't. But I stuck out to the end of the credits and they gave me another scene at the end, which I did enjoy seeing. I'm not going to ruin any of that for you, but if you want to know, there is something worth seeing at the end of the credits, so stay in the cinema when you go and see that. So yeah, all in all, Iron Man 3, I have to say, was a very good film. Yeah, it was, like I said, I was slightly disappointed by it because my expectations of it had just been raised that much, but it turned out to be a much darker film than I would have expected from Iron Man. I couldn't really gauge what the stakes were in this. The bad guy's plan is never really made that clear, which is good in all fairness because it keeps you guessing and thinking what is the plan in this, what does the Mandarin have up his sleeve. But there you go. So that's that. It was a much darker Iron Man, much grittier, much... No, I would have liked to see what would have happened if they hadn't gone for the 12-hour route and upped it to a 15 or something like that. It would have been very interesting to see that, in my opinion, because the threats in it were a lot more realistic and I suppose hit a lot close to home with the fact of terrorism and stuff, especially in the light of Boston recently. But hey ho, this is what happens in life, and it was, yeah, it was a good film. Go out and watch Iron Man 3 is all I can say. If you love the other ones, you'll love this. You might be disappointed with it like I was, or you might think I'm talking rubbish and I should shut up and quit my movie reviewing career forever. But that is every man to himself, or woman, depending on who you are. So that is that, and I thank you for watching this video, and hopefully I would continue making these if you like them. Thank you, and obviously if you have seen the film and want to talk about it, comment below on what you thought about the film, get people talking, etc, etc. Thank you again, and I will see you around.